In 1956, William Holden came to Kenya on a hunting safari with two friends. They wound up buying an upcountry inn and creating the Mount Kenya Safari Club. Over the years, Bill saw the wildlife of his beloved Kenya diminishing in numbers, and he moved to establish a game ranch for the preservation of the species he once hunted. His work will be carried on by the foundation in his name, by its donors, and by me, Stefanie Powers.
It's one of those things where one has to experience it in order to understand it. Words fail you, in other words. That old saying, words fail me, when I try to describe what the feeling of being here and in our particular case, involved with conservation and wildlife. It's just something that has to be experienced.
That's a male, Bill. We don't want to. Okay, we'll try and pick one up.
Bill had a strong attraction to the straw-colored land of East Africa. In his work with the Mount Kenya Game Ranch, Bill and his American partner, Don Hunt, often ventured outside their private sanctuary of hope. In this case, to the Laikipia Plains, to rescue giraffe due to be cropped under a government control program. The burning of habitat, the presence of poachers and cattle farmers, threatens the wild creatures of the bush more each year. The savanna retreats beneath an ever-tightening jacket of human population. Bill saw the need to act and raised his bamboo pole in the wind, knowing that a rope around this slender neck was a lifeline to a new freedom. While in Kenya in 1981, Bill gave a rare interview. In fact, the only interview he ever allowed to be filmed at the ranch. In it, he explained why.
I always felt that I never wanted to capitalize on this particular involvement and endeavor. And for the 22, 23 years, I really haven't done much about publicizing in any respect what we've been doing. But we all must recognize that there are phases in life, and going out and capturing either rhino or elephant or giraffe or whatever the animal might be, there's going to be a day when I'm not going to feel like doing it anymore.
My name is Stefanie Powers, and I'm the founder and president of the William Holden Wildlife Foundation. This is our education center in Kenya. Won't you come in? I'd love to show you around. This place is very personal to me because in many ways it's a living memorial to Bill. It certainly is recognition for the visionary conservation work Bill was doing at a time when, number one, he was one of the biggest movie stars in the world, and the word conservation wasn't even in most people's vocabulary. In the 9 years that we were a couple, Bill imbued me with the same passion he had for Kenya, for the wildlife, for the people, for the natural environment. And so it was a fitting memorial to him that we should build this education center and create a 501c3 public charity in the United States in his name. There's something else I want you to know. I may be the president of the foundation, but I do not receive a salary. Quite to the contrary. Not only do I not receive a salary, nobody pays for my car, for my airline ticket, for anything. Not a cent out of the donor money goes for any of my expenses. In fact, I pay out of my pocket for all the overhead costs in the United States so that I can look into the faces of our donors and say to them with 100% sincerity that all the money they give me, 100% of it, comes here to the work that they gave it for. Bill always wanted to build an education center where local people of all ages could come to learn about the importance of preserving Kenya's precious and World Heritage biodiversity.
Hello there. My name is David McConnell, and I'm the administrator of the William Holden Wildlife Foundation, this education center. I've derived a great deal of satisfaction out of seeing the volume of students which we've been able to teach here, and at one time we were getting close to 12,000 students a year, but we realized that that was probably the wrong way to go. We needed to have fewer students who would be able to concentrate more on what we were teaching them. And so now we limit our day groups to 60, and of course our camping groups are limited to 40.
Hello there, my name is Michael Nganga. I'm the education coordinator, and this is one of our dormitories where our students sleep. We'd like them to have a natural outdoor experience, and therefore computers, mobile phones, radios are not allowed at the education center. We'd like our visitors to listen to the nature's music. I was born and brought up in a rural village. My parents were farmers, and wild animals used to invade our farms. And every morning we'd get out, set up snares, and we used to kill these animals using snares because we did not even know that killing them was a problem. After I visited this education center, my whole life changed. I decided to join the scouting movement because at that time scouts were known to be protecting the wild animals at that time. I gained a lot of interest in conservation, and that led me do a degree course in wildlife conservation so that I can get a chance to conserve the animals or the wild animals that people were killing. I always dreamt of coming back to this education center as a lecturer, and for the time that I've been here, I have been able to educate more than 100,000 visitors on the importance of wildlife conservation.
My name is Samuel Njuki, and I first came to the William Holden Wildlife Education Center as a student back when I was in high school, and that visit changed my life since I ended up taking a course in wildlife management. And I also came back as an intern when still a student at the university, and after I cleared my internship I was given a chance to work here as a lecturer, and working here as a lecturer has been great, though we have always had challenges in keeping up with technology. But now we've been presented with a great opportunity, which is the smart board. This is a state-of-the-art interactive teaching device. With this technology, we are able to enhance our lectures and stimulate the imagination of our students.
You might say, what in the world are llamas doing in Africa, and why? Well, these llamas are the children of the original 4 llamas that were a gift to us from the family of our vice chairman. They were in the business of exporting llamas and alpacas to clients all over the world. And they had 4 of them that were on their way to Europe when a client decided that he wanted to change his mind. So they wound up with us, and they form one of the greatest lessons in biodiversity. Because if you look at those faces, you can absolutely see that they are part of the genus of camels. Llamas, alpacas, vicuñas, and guanacos are in effect the camels of the Andes. Here you go.
This is another of our cooking aids. It's a parabolic solar heater, solar cooker. You can cook in it, you can boil water, and it's all done with the sun's rays. It'll boil a kettle in good sunlight in about 15 minutes.
All the groups are required to bring their own food, but we offer them the opportunity to cook it sustainably by using our energy-saving jiko, which are called berry leaf cookers. They're simple to work with. This is where you place your firewood, and 6 pieces of this are able to boil 50 liters of water. We also have another way of cooking, and we have a burner connected from our biogas digester to here, and our students use it for cooking. And I'd like to show you where we make the biogas. This is our simplified, affordable biogas digester that can be afforded by anybody in Kenya. The best dung to use is cow dung, which many communities have, and this is how it's made. We have the inlet on this end where you pour in the dung that is mixed with water. Then we have the main digester here that decomposes the waste to produce the gas. Then the gas, we tap it through this pipe to the kitchen. Then we also have an outlet on the other end, and from here we get the waste, the liquid waste from the digester that we use as liquid manure in our farms. And we want to try cooking. Turn the gas on, then the matchbox, and there we have the gas burning. And since biogas is an environmental friendly gas, you cannot actually see the flame. It's blue. So, but we can burn a paper to see it's burning. There we are.
Now this is one of our teaching aids which I've helped develop. It's a bush refrigerator. We had one on the farm when I was a child, and it was incredibly effective. It's very simple. It consists of charcoal, water and wind. Now the water wets the charcoal, the wind evaporates it, and you get cold, very, very cold inside.
This looks like a beautiful garden, doesn't it? Well, it actually is something called a wetland permaculture. All of our wastewater goes through a filtration system right here. Nothing goes back into the river polluted. There are 3 ponds beyond this. By the time all the waste is filtered through this pit and winds up rising into the next pond, you can already see the change in the condition of the water. There is absolutely no odor whatsoever. But in the first pond, we see magnificent biodiversity at work. We see frogs coming, we see bugs coming, we see birds feeding on the bugs, we see other plants, other sorts of plants that are feeding on the microorganisms of the first filtration of the water. It's so exciting. By the time this water gets to the final pond, you can put a glass in the water and you can drink it. Yummy.
We get a lot of waste bottles lying around all over the countryside, and as an encouragement to stop people throwing them away, this was a good idea of how to use them. It is in fact a little eco-greenhouse.
This little Eden on the Nanyuki River practices what it preaches, offering new ideas for non-polluting resource conservation. We use extensive solar heating, grow our own vegetables and fruits, cook with fuel-efficient stoves in an effort to combat deforestation, and we have a nursery where students are shown how to grow and care for seedlings of a fast-growing multi-purpose tree whose use extends from fodder to fuel. In our library and classroom, groups have a chance to see books that take them not only into the bush beyond the garden fence, but also into the wildlife of other countries, underlining the delicate connection between environments thousands of miles away from their own. Best of all is to see the response in the children themselves, the way the light of knowledge plays on their excited eyes.
Every inch of our acreage contains a lesson. Our curricula is appropriately designed for each group: young, adult, day visitor, or overnight campers. And we emphasize how to use nature's gifts in a sustainable way, including alternative fuel sources to prevent the loss of habitat for humans as well as wildlife. The highlight of all visits to the Education Center is a trip to the animal orphanage at the Mount Kenya Wildlife Conservancy. The animal orphanage was established almost immediately when the game ranch was formed. It wasn't necessarily called an orphanage, but it certainly was a place where orphaned animals and animals that were ill or injured came to be treated. And it's obviously evolved beautifully since then. Oh, you, look at you. This is the only place in Africa where you can have such intimate contact with the highly endangered East African bongo. I'm standing in front of one of our rural libraries at a village called Wadi-Tuga on the Laikipia Plains. These people were living in the front lines of the animal-human conflict with wildlife. And so we thought it was absolutely essential that we should start a rural program to try and raise the level of education so that they could understand some of the things we were talking about biodiversity, about sustainability, about why it's important to only cut certain kinds of trees. And we built this library. Come, let's take a look at it. The success of a library like this is completely dependent on the proper use and the dedication of the faculty of the school. We have been blessed in all of our rural schools to have the most extraordinary librarians, wonderful faculty who not only use this, they appreciate it and they maintain it for many, many generations to come. This is a little story I always find amusing. When we first began this program, I was in New York and I went to Rand McNally to buy maps and charts and all, and I came across this inflatable globe. And I didn't know how it was going to go over here, but I brought many of them out here, and I used to go to the schools and blow this thing up and throw it around and say, "Where are you? This is where I come from." And suddenly put on a light for an awful lot of people to be able to understand why somebody who lived over here could be concerned about all the things that happened all the way over here. The planet is a very small thing, and if we don't take care of it, we won't have it. As I mentioned, one of the purposes of building these rural libraries was to help raise the standard of education in the school so that they would understand the lessons that we were bringing them about conservation, wildlife, biodiversity. But what we never imagined was that Wadi-Tuga would use this library to raise the standards, the scholarship standards, and go absolutely through the roof. And suddenly they were winning all of these fabulous scholastic awards. But all of this would only have been possible, as I said, with this remarkable faculty.
My name is Catherine Washira from Astoka Primary School, in charge of the kitchen. In the previous school I was in, there was no kitchen like this one. We used to cook under trees in that primitive way. They were not sanitary. In other words, I can say it is helping us to preserve the environment.
We had a kitchen that was made of wood, full of smoke everywhere, and even the cook herself would find it difficult to get the real cooking.
In 2009, my mother passed away, and I received such an overwhelming response from my friends and fans and supporters who gave donations to the foundation in her memory that we decided to use those funds to create a memorial library in her name. And where better to bring that memorial library than to Gwara School and put it in the hands of my good friend Anne Muriuki, who I knew would regard it with a special sentiment. Shortly after that, my fiancé decided, after seeing this wonderful building and meeting Anne, that he would construct a companion building, a sustainable kitchen and canteen in the name of his parents and his family. And it's a very nice companion piece in memorial to both of our dear and much loved parents.
Yes, my name is Anne Morioki, the headmistress of Gwara Primary School. I met with Miss Powers at Wadi-Tuga Primary School, where I was a teacher and the librarian. We became friends, and later Miss Powers visited me at Gwara Primary School and asked me what I wanted. We told her that we would like a school library because we had none. Later on, Miss Powers came and told us that she will make a magnificent library in memory of her mother. It was built, and we have always enjoyed being in the library, plus taking care of her mother, because we believe this is where her mother will forever be remembered in, since it is in the name of her memory.
I hope I've been able to give you a better idea of what it is we do here. But I'd like to leave you with one thought. It's what we tell all of our visitors. Christianity started with only 12 apostles, and there are usually many more than 12 in the groups that come to us. So I'll ask you the same thing I asked them. Won't you join us? Won't you help us preach the gospel of conservation? We really need your help, and so does wildlife.
For as each culture loses its heritage, so do we lose our own. With it goes something we will one day look back to find. The last reflection of the world as an infant, the last measure of how far we have come, and the last frame of reference for the simple word, mankind.